UI design is an area that scares a lot of people. I've seen a lot of portfolios of designers where they have shown great work in terms of user research and wireframes, but are not that great at executing those wireframes into UI designs. There are a lot of designers who feel that they lack that creativity or that aesthetic flavor which is required to create dribble-worthy UI designs. Hey guys, my name is Mayur Karudia. I'm a product designer at Housing.com and the co-founder of Dropout Academy, where we teach UX UI design free of cost and the students only pay us after getting placed. In today's video, I'll take you through my UI design process of how do I take up one wireframe and create that into a UI design. So let's get started. So let's say we have a wireframe for which we need to create a UI. The wireframe that we are considering as of now is a home screen for an app that delivers organic fruits and vegetables to your doorstep. So we have considered this color palette, right? We've taken green because this is more urban color related to eco-friendly and it represents nature. And then some other colors, secondary colors, which are more urban in nature. That basically goes with our theme, right? So let's first of all create a frame of size 360 by 640. This is a standard size that we have that accommodates for the smallest of the devices. You can go for any other frame size like you want. For example, you can go for iPhone 14, 13, 11, whatever frame size is there. I personally choose to go with 360 by 640. Right now, first of all, the first and foremost rule is, what is the first rule for creating the UI? What the first step you do?
Layout grid.
First of all, what we do is we put up a grid in place, a column grid. Always for mobile devices, the count of column for mobile devices, the column has to be, number of columns has to be 4 with a margin of maybe 16 pixel or 20 pixel, and that's it. We have set up the grid. Now let's start putting up the elements on this. So we have hamburger menu, a logo, notification icon. So for that, we can either go to the plugins called Icon Scout or the other plugins that I've told you about. For example, Noun Project, Icon Scout, or Material UI. So to use these icons, we'll go to a plugin called Feather Icons. Feather Icon, the only limitation is it has only limited number of icons. It doesn't give you all the icons. So we search for hamburger menu. Here it is. Click. It's already placed. Now it will stick. Yeah. So we put the grid on the left. We put the icon on the left of the grid, and from the top, again going by the rule of 4, we place the icon on 32 pixels from the top. It is a little bit too much, so we go back to maybe 24. Yeah, 24 pixels from the top. Right. Now we have to have another icon which is notification. Again, go to Feather Icons, look for notifications. Beautiful icon here. Again, in Feather Icons, you get all the consistent icons. So again, we place it here. Once you see the blue box around the frame, that means the icon is now inside the frame. Same thing, we put it on the right of the grid and exactly aligning to this one. So both of them are now perfectly aligned. Two things are done. Let's look for a logo. Now we have search bar along with a cart icon. So let's create a search bar. For creating a search bar, we create again a box. Again, the important thing is it should extend from the grid and end at the grid. Again, the height of this can be the multiple of 4. This is 36, so this is completely all right. We give it rounded edges. That is your choice if you want to make it completely round or not. I prefer to have the search bar completely round because that separates it from the button, other CTAs and buttons. And it also gives like a more softer feel. Now, important thing, what should be the spacing from the top? As I said, as we already discussed, always follow the multiples of 4 rule. So from the top, measure the distance. This is 18, not the multiple of 4. What is the nearest multiple of 4 after 18? 20, right? So to make it 20 pixel, place it here. Now let's look for a search icon. First of all, now let's talk about the colors. What I do is, first of all, after doing the frame, we need to set up, after creating the grid, we need to set up the background color. That's most important. Now I've told you guys there are 3 rules for setting the background color. You can either have a background as white, the background color of the app as white. You can have it as dark gray, which can be used for dark mode designs. And third and most important, you can also have the lightest shade of your primary color or the lightest shade of your secondary color, whatever you're choosing. In our case, we have this lightest, and that's how basically we can choose this color as a background color. So I'm taking this and putting up this as the background color. And as you can see, just by putting it, it gives you a lot of earthen feeling, right? The feeling that you want to give for the users of this app, because this is all about organic food. You can also try for the lightest shade of this green as well, and this is how it looks, and depends upon you which particular shade do you like. This can also be there. It's just that this one looks a little bit more, it doesn't have that warmth effect, and I want to have like more warmth feeling for the app, so I want to go with this background. Now the background is set. Now let's look at the color for the search bar. Also, another advantage of having a color in the background, light color in the background, is all the other elements you can keep it white. Now, even if I keep the search bar white, if I just remove the grid and show it to you, even if I keep the search bar white, it is still going to look great because it gives me that contrast. Now let's give the search bar a little bit of shadows, so there's a depth effect and it's contrastingly visible from the background. For the shadows, always remember I told you guys, always use softer shadows and use colors that are the darker shades of your background. I'm using this color and increasing the blur so that my shadows are softer and reducing the opacity. Right, now I have a mic icon and a cart icon. So again, let's go to plugins and feather icons. Look for a mic, got it, and a cart. All the basic icons, the great thing about feather icons is all the basic utility icons you can get here, but not the custom icons. And let's put this mic inside this, make it smaller, maybe of the same size of the search bar, and reduce this stroke. Good thing about feather icons is you can control the stroke. This is now 16 pixels, similar to the search bar. Let's align this. Now, we also need to make space for the cart icon. So let's look at the grid. I'm reducing this. As of now, I don't know how much I should be reducing, so I'm just reducing this for now. And first of all, let's fit the cart icon, and then we'll figure out how much space is left. Again, let's stick it to the grid and to the center of this search bar so that everything is aligned. Alignment is a very, very, very important aspect in UI designs. Even if you do not put the colors, I've been telling you guys, even if you do not put in the colors, even if your illustrations are not that great, but only if you make sure that your spacing is proper and alignment is proper, 80% of the job is done. Because your designs are only going to look cleaner and well organized if you get the alignment and spacing right. So let me reduce the spacing between these two elements. As of now, the spacing between two elements is 26. Going by the rule of 4, I can have the spacing of 16 pixels so that it's not too much, it's not too less. And now I place the mic icon, right, again, placing it 10 pixels. The same spacing at top and bottom has to be on the right if an element is placed inside a box or a container. Now, again, the challenge is everything is starting to look black. It's a little bit jarring on the eyes. Everything is looking dark and catching my attention. I'm not using the primary color because we're saving the primary color only for the CTAs and important actions, right? So this is done halfway. Now, not everything is being highlighted. So this top part is done. Our navigation is set. Now let's look at the banner. Again, for banner, we create a rectangle. Starting from the grid, ending at the grid. From the top, we take a distance of in the multiples of 4, so maybe 20 pixels. I'm going now is the point where we decide if we want to have rounded edges for the rectangle for our boxes or sharp edges. This is how you can see it. Sharp edges is, again, as I said, as I've been telling you guys, sharp usually represents more authoritative app, something that is more professional, high-tech. Here, our concept is more earth-friendly, organic. So we want to give softer edges, and hence we want to give a corner radius of maybe 12 pixels. 12 pixels is a safer corner radius to use. So this is set. Now let's create a banner. With the banners, the most important thing is the banners should be in the same theme as the entire app. In our case, then because we have these 2-3 colors, let's go with either different shades of green or different shades of this brown. slightly lighter shade of the dark green. Now the header has to be bolder. The font we'll be using for this is Rubik because this is softer. This has softer edges. Make it semi-bold and increase the font size to, again, in the multiple of 4, maybe we can go for 24 pixel. If it looks a little bit too big, we can go for 20 as well. So this is our title. Again, spacing wise, multiples of 4. So 16 pixel from the top, 16 pixel from the right. Then each banner also has maybe like a CT or a secondary title or a subheader, so which says, important tip for you, that if you want to figure out on the copy, you can use this AI tool called copy.ai. तो जैसे मैं अभी इस बैनर की जब कॉपी इसमें हेडर की कॉपी डाल रहा था तो मुझे सोचना पड़ रहा था कि क्या कॉपी होनी चाहिए. copy.ai पे जाके आप ऐप के अंदर जितनी भी कॉपीज होती है, अलग अलग जगह जो भी टेक्स्ट होते हैं, वो जनरेट कर सकते हो AI के थ्रू. So that's a very helpful tool. Now, important concept. Once you have more than one text on a place, now we know we have to follow the rules of typographic hierarchy. That means there has to be a hierarchy maintained between different text on a screen. The header has to be the biggest and boldest. The subheader has to be smaller and lighter. So because this is a subheader, हम इसको semi bold की जगह में भी regular कर देंगे. इसका font size reduce करके 16 कर देंगे. उसका color भी हम reduce करके maybe 70% कर देंगे. So now it's looking, and the spacing again multiple of 4, 8 pixels. This still looks a little bit too overwhelming for me because it's too loud and on the face. So I'm reducing the font size further to maybe 12 pixels. And then we'll have a CTA here. Let's create a CTA of following again rule of 4, maybe 36 pixel height, corner radius of 12 pixels, aligned with all these other elements and at a distance of 16 pixels. इसका CTA को मैं green कर सकता हूँ because that is my primary CTA. As soon as I put it on green, you can see the entire card starts to look very consistent. It looks very much in the theme. And now let's put up the copy of the CTA. By now, align it on the left and right. This can be medium, center align, and now align it. The color of this, because this is not visible. On green, black is not visible. This is going to cause accessibility issues. So make it white. This is my card. Now the only thing that remains is like putting up a beautiful illustration here. Whenever you want to use any product image on your banners, there are two ways you can do. One, you can use illustrations, right? Illustrations, that means flat, and that basically matches your theme. Another thing, interesting thing that you can do is you can use images without background. So you can use images of the fruits without background so that they start to look like illustrations. And I'll give an example. How can you do that? That can only be done if you want to use product images. Then you can replace illustrations with images, right? Like Swiggy does. I'll give an example. Swiggy has in all of its categories of food and what to order. You can see the food items are without backgrounds. And Swiggy uses its own colored backgrounds behind the food images so that they start to look like illustrations, but they are not, and they look really clean. So what we do is we then look for images, PNG images for fruits and vegetables. So you have to paste that here. So that is one. Maybe I can use one or two more vegetables or fruits here. If I had used an image with a background, this is how it would look like. See now, because it has a background, it's just overpowering and it just breaks away the entire theme. So always go for PNG images. So one image I already have here. Also, to make it more interesting, you can also make it break the card, like place it outside the card to make it more interesting. Also, the good thing about this image is it also has a slight tones of green, which is again becoming consistent with my entire theme, overall theme. Another thing that I can do is maybe give some smaller elements here on the background. Can you see how suddenly the depth effect is created and how it has suddenly started to look more dynamic? Okay, so now this is done. This is looking great. Now let's go to the other section, which is categories. So first, I'm creating a circle. Let me turn on the grids once again. You can hide on and off these grids. Putting it on the grid, and whatever is the distance from here, to make it consistent, I'll have the same distance from here. So 20 pixels. Also, what I can do is, if there are just 4 of these, I can place each of these within my grid. I have the categories as fruits, vegetables, leaf vegetables, and exotic. So what we can do is we can start putting up images of the product inside. Again, going by the rule, whenever you use product images, always go for PNGs. So let's do one thing. Let's look for images of fruit. We have this here. Place it inside. This gray is definitely not going with the background. So now we can have 2 options now. You can either go for whiter shade, white color itself. And I have to also fit this strawberry inside the circle, right? When I look at white, I'm not liking it that much because the contrast is not coming. So there can be one more option. I can either go for the darker shade. Let's try for the darker shade maybe. So the next section that we have is today's hot deal, assuming that we will have products along with the prices and the discounts. So let's create this section, today's hot deal. Again, let's create a title now. Section title. Today's hot deal. Make it left aligned because you have to keep it on the left. Then check on the frame. Align it to the grid. The distance has to be again 20 pixels. Because this is a section title, I am making it slightly bigger and bolder. It's still 20 pixels, which works fine. Now let's create a card. Again, let's give 12 pixel radius, corner radius. Width of the card can be 120 pixels, going by the rule of 4. How I am deciding the width, I have not decided the width yet. I'll put up the contents first, and then I'll figure out the width of the card. And similarly, the height. So the first content could be, I am thinking that it will have a product image. First of all, now I can make my card white to give contrast. As of this green is definitely not going to work. I make the card white along with some shadow, because again, this is not very contrastingly visible. So I give slight shadow to it. So always give softer shadows to your elements whenever you are giving. It has a shadow now. Softer shadows mean the blur should be higher and the opacity should be lower. The distance between these two can be again in the multiple of 4, which is 16. Now let's put up different types of vegetable images here. For deals, I paste it directly here. Fit it. Price for title, I use the text as broccoli. Make the alignment of 16 pixel. If it looks too big, we can also go for 12 pixel, but in the multiples of 4. From the top, the distance has to be 8. Font size is fine. Then I give the quantity, which is 1 kg. It has to be smaller, lighter, both in thickness and in color. Along with the quantity, I also have to add the price. 1 it is. I can put up the price maybe below, which is next to the CTA. Now there are 2 ways. Of course, the text is not going to be confined in the smaller CTA, so I can just use the icon here. So what I do is I reduce it and just use the cart icon, which is already there. Now this is balanced. Now I align this to the button in center. Make it up like this. Now going by typographic hierarchy, these two are looking similar, but they shouldn't look exactly similar in terms of the style. For me, pricing is more important than the quantity, so I reduce the opacity of quantity further by 50%. I can also reduce the size, but this is already 12 pixel, guys. So remember, you cannot go lower than 12 pixel. I've already told you guys that. So this is still fine. Now increase the card height so that there is equal spacing all over the card, which is 12 pixel. And this is your card basically. You have one card now. Now we'll group the entire card. Again, we'll use auto layout. So first copy paste. Auto layout, you should have at least 2 elements. First we copy paste. Now the spacing between different elements again has to be in multiples of 4. Here I choose 20 pixel distance between the two. selecting both of these again and then clicking auto layout. Now again, everything is in auto layout. So I just copy paste it and it gets automatically spaced out. I just change the contents now of different cards. For example, now we have broccoli. Other ways we can also have carrot. This is how you have your cards laid out, and you now have your bottom navigation. So for bottom navigation, let's create a bottom nav. For bottom navigation, again, let's start to look at various references on Dribbble. The one kind of style that I like is we already have a lot of different kind of bottom navigation styles in our Dropout component library. So the one that I like currently, we need to have how many icons in the bottom? We have 4. So I just pick this one, copy paste on my design. This is not fitting to my size right now, so I scale it down by pressing K. My width of my components are 360. On my screen is 360. This is my bottom navigation. Now I just change the colors to for my icon. Now there are 2-3 options. I said that I am reserving the green color strictly to my CTAs, and that's how ideally it should be. Your primary color shouldn't just look everywhere. It shouldn't just be used everywhere. Otherwise, it will lose the importance of being a primary color. If I use it here as well, there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing is it is going to get confused with my primary CTA and the bottom navigation. It also looks like a CTA there. You just use the secondary color. This is fine. So this is one. Then I just change the icons. One home is already done. Use a category icon. In Dropout, again, I go to the Dropout icon library. Similarly, let's put up other icons, the remaining icons. So this is how my bottom navigation is looking like with all the icons. Now to make this more softer or to make this more interesting, you can also tweak you can play around with the shapes of the bottom navigation. So for example, I can go with maybe a completely curved bottom navigation, which is kind of floating. And now this is not visible, the contrast is not there, so I have to put in the shadows. Increase the blur, reduce the opacity. Now this circle, this complete rounded element is not going with this rectangular element. So I can also make this completely rounded. Look at it, how beautiful it looks. So that's it for the video, guys. I really hope you have learned something new from this video. If you like this video, please let us know in the comments. It is definitely going to motivate me to create more such videos. If you have any other questions or queries, do put in the comments and I'll try to resolve them and I'll try to answer as much as I can. Thank you so much again for watching the video. Goodbye.